Good morning, children. This early morning session is dedicated to class 9 behind the last lesson, and we are doing the lesson number 7, The Last Leaf by O. Henry. First of all, you ask about this, what is this story focused on, and what is the central idea of this story. The theme and the central idea of the story revolves around the basic human emotions and belief. They include faith, hope, the value of life, pessimism, fear of death, sacrifice, love, and friendship. Apart from this story also teaches us, gives us a hint that God is the only one who decides whether we ride on with the life and carry on the life and continue with the life and takes the chances, or we trail on and be drawn against the judgment. The melodramatic and picturesque setting in this story gives a negative impact of the main character fading life and struggling between life and death. The story is as follows. The Last Leaf by O. Henry is as follows. It is a highly inspirational story about the unselfish sacrifice of a man who uses his talent to save the life of another. This inspirational story tells us how an unselfish man, an artist, saves the life of another with his talent, with his art, with his, unique talent. The story goes like that. Two friends and two young girls, John C. and Sue, shared an apartment in an artist community. They lived in a colony, in an artist community, sharing an apartment. Uh, a highly or a deadly disease, spread its malicious impact on many of the members living in the colony. This outbreak of the malicious disease spread its deadly influence and mows down many of its members. John C. was a victim of this malicious disease. She was suffering from pneumonia and she was badly affected by this disease. She had given up hope of survival. She has left taking food and anything despite the insistence of her friend Sue, and therefore she had just correlated, or rather you can say she has pinned down her survival to the last leaf clinging on the vine just next to her, door. She's living in an apartment, and next to her door there is a vine tree and the last leaf that is hanging on. So lying in the bed, she pins down her survival to one of the last leaf on a vine, which she perceives through her window while lying in bed. So she has pinned down her survival to the last leaf clinging on the vine, which she perceives through her window while lying in the bed. The doctors inform Sue that the chances of survival of John C is totally dependent on her desire and hope to live and survive. As she has given up the hope of living, this has badly affected her disease, and she has a little chance of survival unless she decides to live life, unless she decides to have a faith in life and faith in her survival. She will not be able to survive. Sue informs a neighboring artist, Behrman, who is known to them, and he is a neighboring artist, about all this, that John C. had been badly affected by pneumonia and she has given up hope of survival. She has rather pinned down her survival to the last leaf hanging on the vine next to her window. Behrman knew it very well that John C. Will just certainly will be correlating her survival to that very last leaf, and he's aware of her fading away with the dropping of the last leaf. Then the next morning, after a vicious storm, vicious storm. When Johnsy wakes up and opens the window, she finds the last leaf still hanging, still clinging on the vine. She regains hope and she wants to continue living life, and she starts, talking about life and hope, and gradually she regains her health and gets rid of the pneumonia. But then all this miracle happens because the man Herman had previous night had painted the his masterpiece of painting. He has painted his masterpiece of painting, the last leaf, and that was a painted one. Actually, the reality was that that very last leaf was a painted one. It was not the real one, which Herman had painted just a day before his death. And in that very storm, though he was suffering from pneumonia and has become weak, he didn't, give up his hope. He went to the, vine and painted the last leaf and just, made it clearly his masterpiece. So his long awaited masterpiece, that the last leaf, which was just a form of a painted leaf, saved the life of John C. Though he himself died of pneumonia, he couldn't, survive against the molasses disease pneumonia, but he could save the life of John C. Through his masterpiece of painting, that was the last leaf. So this clearly suggests that Behrman had painted his long promised masterpiece, the last leaf, which saved John C.'s life, sacrificing his own life in this process. This story teaches us the lesson that even when we cannot save our own life, we should try hard to save the life of someone, which will become a memory in the eyes and in the mind of various. So this is how this story, highlights the values such as love, sacrifice, faith, and pessimism, fear of death, sacrifice, and friendship. Actually, had Behrman not been a true friend of these two artists on Johnsy and Siu, he would never have painted the last leaf, his masterpiece, which appeared exactly like the real leaf, and that could, that could inculcate the hope and faith of survival for Johnsy, and Johnsy could recover from pneumonia due to that last leaf which was clinging on the vine. And despite the fact that all the leaves had fallen, still the painted leaf, which looked very much like the real leaf by Behrman, really could save the life of Johnsy. So this is how a true friendship, a true love, a true sacrifice by a man for another person can really turn the table in the favor of an artist, and can make her ride on with the life, and make this true, that if we have will and desire to live, if we have hope and optimism to survive, we can really survive even against the deadly disease like pneumonia. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.